It's said that those who are aware of your history have the power to destroy your future. And to Meghan Markle, that individual wasn't a royal aide or a tabloid reporter. She refers to him as her husband. Prince Harry recently startled everyone around him with a statement he made inside the royal walls. He didn't speak louder. He made no accusations. He was just saying, there are things about Meghan that no one outside this family will ever believe. Everything changed with just one sentence. What could be buried deep enough for Harry to say that, since he himself suggested that there were things beneath the tale that the world fell in love with? This has nothing to do with headlines or rumors. This is the Meghan that existed before the tiaras, before the palace, before her name was known to the general public. The version that could only be fully revealed by one man in one night. Harry's revelation was not a rumor. As you can see, it was a recollection, a fragment of reality that ties the Duchess to the lady the world was never supposed to know. And you won't look at Meghan Markle the same way after hearing what transpired in Toronto that evening. Toronto, 2016. Meghan was living in a leased townhouse, filming Suits, and discreetly dating Prince Harry. He had just flown in for a covert visit, far from handlers and palace eyes. The night was meant to be intimate, just the two of them. What happened that night, however, was anything but harmless, according to many who knew Meghan at the time. According to rumors, Meghan wasn't only hanging out with Harry. Something was being hosted by her. A run, as the nightlife culture in Toronto termed it. It wasn't dinner and wine, to put it simply. It was a form of indulgence. The sort that gleams at night and vanishes at dawn. Cocaine, allegedly. No tabloids, police reports, or pictures were waiting outside. In the echo, only one name remained. Harry's cousin, Princess Eugenie. Nobody is certain whether she was present or if her name was merely a door opener. One mistake, one headline, and that night might have ruined more than a romance, so the mere fact that it was brought up at all sent shockwaves through those who heard it. The royal family itself might have been humiliated by it. There was a problem. Perhaps there was an almost exposure or a near leak that didn't happen. Everything had been deleted before morning. Silence, no stories, no witnesses. And when silence falls so fast, it usually indicates that someone in a position of authority has intervened. Rumor has it that the highest echelons of authority pulled strings. Meghan was still too obscure to escape responsibility, and the palace couldn't afford a scandal involving Harry. Buried beneath wealth, power, and silent phone conversations, the night vanished from history as if it had never occurred. However, for those present, it was the moment that revealed Meghan Markle's true identity. Serene, collected, and totally in charge of the mayhem all around her. You had to go back to Trevor Anglesen, the man who knew Meghan the best, to understand how she was able to move fearlessly through a night like that. Their 2011 marriage in Jamaica wasn't a royal wedding. It was rowdy, noisy, and hot. Visitors continue to discuss it. It was Meghan sitting down and rolling over 100 joints for her guests, not the romance or the vows. It's an operation, not a joke or a party trick. She wanted the atmosphere to be ideal. Meghan was the one who made sure that everyone had everything they needed. People laughed then. They described her as the cool bride, laid back and entertaining. Trevor, however, saw more. He noticed a woman who ran parties instead of merely going to them. She was skilled at keeping a room under control, pleasing everyone, and using music to cover up the chaos. Trevor believed he was getting married to a charming actress who was pursuing her Hollywood ambition. What he got was someone who could shape atmospheres like a director shaped scenes. Control was Meghan's secret gift. Furthermore, she didn't simply abandon Trevor after the marriage ended. She wiped him out. However, he brought with him the memories of the wedding in Jamaica, the laughter, the smoke, and the power. He was aware of the reality. Meghan wasn't merely a part of the mayhem. It had been designed by her. Toronto was more than just a place where Suits was filmed. The world that never showed up on Instagram was Meghan's second world. Soho House, a private club that served the wealthy, the famous, and those who desired both, was the center of that world. By day, Meghan was the polished actress who wrote blog entries about success and self-love while grinning for the cameras. At night, She was a completely different person. Loud, self-assured, and unafraid. According to insiders, the boundaries between temptation and celebrity vanished in Soho House. Not just champagne was being poured behind closed doors. Whispers described discreet deliveries, protocols that everyone understood but never uttered out loud, and hidden pleasures. Meghan wasn't a guest in that planet. She served as the intermediary, understanding who needed what, how much, and how to ensure a silent delivery. She had access, which was what everyone desired. Her prudence kept doors open, but her beauty opened them. She was charming, but that wasn't the only reason people invited her. They had faith in her to protect their secrets. She was the humanitarian actress in the eyes of the public. However, she was the one who could prolong the night in Soho House. The person who transformed luxury into art and concealment into survival. And the palace didn't anticipate that aspect of her story. Because Meghan Markle had already mastered the art of navigating through the shadows and ensuring that the light never touched anything she didn't want the public to see long before she was made a duchess. Prince Harry had always had to deal with the burden of an overbearing spotlight. By morning, every error, every crazy night, and every vulnerable moment had made the news. The rumored scandals and the pictures from Vegas weren't only negative publicity. They served as reminders that there was no such thing as freedom in his universe. Then Meghan arrived. She promised him more than just love, she provided him a way out. Harry finally met someone who appreciated the excitement of breaking the rules. And, more significantly, how to do it covertly. Meghan was an expert in the secret world already. The modest pleasures, the secret groups, the Soho House nights. She knew how to live quietly in public and noisily in private. For Harry, who had been surrounded by headlines and handlers all his life, it was euphoric. People claim that their connection was instantaneous due to love. It wasn't simply love, though. It was comprehension. His darker side was not judged by Meghan. She was in control of it. She gave the danger a sense of security. And Harry started to rely on her in that safety. She developed into more than just a buddy. She turned to become his guardian. The person who could guarantee him a private existence, something the palace was never able to do. That wasn't only love to Harry. Freedom was that. But there was a price for independence. Furthermore, freedom in Meghan's universe always meant reinventing oneself. She wiped the previous chapter entirely each time she entered a new one. She left more than just a marriage behind when she split from Trevor Engelsen. A witness was erased by her. She left behind contacts, friends, and even those who believed they knew her well when she departed Toronto. They disappeared as if they had never been in her life. Her college pals stopped contacting her. Once clothing fell quiet, so did family relationships. And as she became more well-known, the past was condensed, cut, cleansed, and polished to fit the new image she desired. It was no accident. It was a plan. Meghan was skilled at creating worlds and then destroying the maps in the process. She was the aspirational actress to the Hollywood crowd. She was the kind companion who helped Harry feel understood. She was the woman who could erase the trail and provide the excitement to the Soho House group. The genius of it was that none of those variations overlapped. She revealed just enough about herself to give the impression that everyone in each circle knew her. However, the entire photograph was never seen. It was survival, not dishonesty. And when she married into a royal family, that trend continued. It changed. Her responses consistently changed when people inquired about her background and her life prior to Harry. Blurred there, polished here. Depending on who was listening, the specifics varied. Meghan had to ensure that no one could drag her down by reaching back each time she climbed higher. However, Meghan's transformation was more than just sentimental. It was tangible. You'll notice something if you align pictures of her taken throughout the years. Early on, the face becomes softer, later, it becomes sharper. Previously round like her mother's, her nose became defined and thin. According to the official narrative, it was merely Hollywood glitz. It's normal for an actress getting ready for a more significant role. Another reason, however, was whispered by some who knew her from the Toronto years. They said it was too much indulgence. The lines on the table weren't for reading scripts on far too many evenings. Anything in excess produces scars. According to the whispers, she wasn't pursuing beauty with the change in her face. She could no longer afford to reveal the harm caused by her claimed drug-using lifestyle, therefore it was corrected. Each surgery wasn't vanity if that's the case. It was a funeral. Each time she made a correction, she obliterated yet another hint of her former existence. Additionally, if you pay close attention, the modifications correspond to her timeline. Every change occurred as she entered a new phase of her life. Getting out of Toronto, leaving Trevor, and going into the castle. It was similar to seeing someone use her own mirror to craft a brand new narrative. However, the past persisted beneath the crisper angles and immaculate smile. Rumors of evenings too crazy to describe. Tales that were never reported in the media. And the pattern begins to take shape for the first time. Each new Meghan didn't take the place of the previous one. Until no one could distinguish between the performance and the real woman, it covered it face after face, layer by layer. Silence is usually a sign of serenity. Silence was a weapon to Meghan. She was aware of when to speak, when to be charming, and when to blend in. In Toronto, she wasn't saved by chance. It was instinct. The same urge that caused her to cut off ties with family, erase Trevor Engelsen, and cut off former pals. Meghan didn't fight when things became messy. She disappeared. Messages from those who had previously referred to her as a friend went unanswered. Former co-stars claimed that as soon as Suits made her popular, she stopped answering calls. Even family members back home claimed to have heard about her engagement through the news, just like everyone else. It appeared to outsiders that she was defending her privacy. However, many who were familiar with her pattern noticed a change. Every pause was calculated. All of the disappearances were edited. She discovered that you can't be revealed when people can't get to you. As a result, the public regarded Meghan Markle as a cool-headed, collected duchess who wasn't hiding from anyone. What the world saw was under her control. Because stillness wasn't nothingness in her universe. Control was the issue. However, masks are only effective if the underlying story remains hidden. And gradually, the sights emerged. Meghan stated in one interview that before meeting Prince Harry, she had never Googled him. In another, however, she outlined his favorite qualities with a level of accuracy that seemed practiced. She revealed to the world that she felt alone, alienated, and trapped in the UK. However, subsequent travel logs revealed that she had been flying a lot to see pals in Amsterdam, Italy, and New York. The mystery surrounding Archie's birth then surfaced. The hospital's concealment, the certificate's missing information, and the refusal to verify who gave birth to him. On its own, it wasn't scandalous, but it followed the same pattern. Even the truth was tinted with Meghan. The palace also started subtly editing her story. Her official royal biography initially glowed. Multilingual and a double major at Northwestern, she was praised for her charitable endeavors. However, that biography was later revised. The honors, the language proficiency, and the academic claims were all gone. For an organization that weighs every word, there was only one straightforward line left: Meghan Markle, actress from Suits. It wasn't a typo. There was a message. The myth they had once assisted her in creating was being stripped away by the same palace that had once shielded her, line by line and piece by piece. So, who exactly is Meghan Markle? The starlet from Hollywood who yearned for more? The duchess who entered Windsor Castle when everyone was looking? Or the tactician who was able to master each chapter of her own mythology? In actuality, Meghan created power rather than stumbling into it. She discovered early on that people forget what you hide and believe what you show them. She had the ability to rewrite stories, create moods, and navigate controversies unharmed. First to see it was Trevor Engelsen.